Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Primetime Carolina, where we are coming to you live for the first time in a long time. Panthers eat that W. Panthers beat the Saints, get their first win of the season, and their first win in 9 games, ending the 9-game losing streak. It's been about a year since the Panthers have won a football game, and here we are. It feels good. Dave, what's going on, man? How's it feel to have a win under your belt finally?
Man, the question now is, are we going to take the cheese? Are we going to start believing in the Panthers now that they've come through and gotten a victory?
I'm all the way there. It happens every time.
I've seen the reaction of the fans online, and it's incredible what a win will do over a 2-year span. And, I'm like you. I got to say, I'm just as guilty as anyone else about feeling optimistic. But, here we are, man. Panthers finally were able to put together a game, play well enough to win. Defense finally forced some turnovers. Offense struggled a bit, but were able to come up with a big play when they needed one towards the end of the game and put it away. So here we are, 1-2.
I'm convinced we won this game just for the fact that we didn't wear all white finally. We decided to change it up, and we won. That's it.
You know what? I've heard a lot of analysis about this game since it ended, but that pretty much nails it all. I mean, that you can't argue with that logic. So I'm going to go with you on that for sure.
All right. Show's over.
All right, guys.
But in all seriousness, I do like the black pants with the white tops. However, the Panthers get the W here, and it was not the best game. And I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here in a little bit once we get things going about some fans' reactions to this game. Was it the best game? No. Was it the cleanest game? No. Was it the sloppiest game? No. But it was a game nonetheless that the Panthers won. And, as much as we like to talk about how much we all dislike Matt Rule, how much we'd all like to restart this rebuild over and, to get things right, get better coaches, this and that. At the end of the day, man, it feels good just to not be so negative and to just get a win. So listen, we're going to talk about the negatives, the positives, but at the end of the day, it's just nice to talk about a win. I mean, it really is.
It really is. And it's very difficult to not find yourself falling into that trap again, like I mentioned before, because if you look at the next couple games, against the Cardinals and the 49ers and the Rams, they don't seem like easy games by any stretch, but they definitely don't seem as such daunting task as they once did, a couple weeks ago, especially for, the Panthers coming off a game where they forced 3 turnovers, blocked a field goal, allowed 13 points. Now, granted, it was against a, banged up Jameis Winston, but nonetheless, they came away with a victory. And then, like I said, you look at these other teams, that 49ers offense is not looking so good. Cardinals, we have a good history against them, and they don't look, unbeatable by any means. The Rams don't look as good as they once did. So it's hard to not start believing in our Panthers again. And I know I should be smarter than that, but here I am starting to feel myself falling for it once again.
Hey, it happens to the best of us. I mean, the last time we got a win was against the Cardinals, and that was the game that Cam Newton came back. And if you go back and watch that episode, we won that game, and we're like, we're back in it. We're back in it. And then we didn't win a game the rest of the year, I don't think.
We were convinced we had a shot at a wild card.
We were.
But, since then, Miami's been one of the best teams in the league, and I, believe that's who we played the next week. So they definitely snapped us back into reality real quick.
They did.
Oh, I guess that was 2 weeks later. Yeah, the Washington was the next game, but.
Yes, correct. So we were brought back down to reality. But here we are now. Panthers are 1-2, and we will start with the positives here. Let's talk about this Panthers defense. Now, this Panthers defense has been ridiculed by most people as being overrated. And I think they deserve that because they've got a lot of talented playmakers on the defense. They've got a lot of good pieces, but they have had tendencies to be not so good in the run game and give up big third downs and give up big plays and just not be all that consistent. This may be one game, but this Panthers defense did a lot well. Multiple turnovers. We got some sacks. We saw it was the Derek Brown homecoming game. JC Horn looked good. The run defense was better. We saw different kinds of adjustments, different guys getting pressure. Frankie Louvu looked like Luke Kuechly Jr. And I mean, the defense, there were a couple mishaps here and there. I'm still not a big CJ Henderson guy, but nonetheless, the Panthers defense, they looked pretty solid to me.
Sorry to let that play behind you. I was just trying to pull up this box score. Yeah, man. Derek Brown. Derek Brown, all right, man, wherever you are, me and you got beef right now because for the longest time, I was the only one who was sticking up for this man. And he finally got to a point where I was like, all right, you know what? I can't just keep defending him by myself. And then he comes back and has 2 good games back to back. So shout out to Derek Brown. I don't know why you couldn't do this while I was defending you. As soon as I, jump sides, jump ship, you decide you're going to start playing like the guy we all knew you could be, but I'm glad he figured it out. Hopefully he can keep stringing these good games together. He ended up having, like I said, 2 of the best games he's had in a while over the past 2 weeks. But hey, man, let me give a shout out to one of his running mates, Marquand McCall, late round pick, I believe 7th round pick here in this past draft. And he's just, every time he's on the field, he flashes, he makes plays. So big shout out to him, man. It's awesome to see, a young guy making plays, especially a late round pick that most people just wrote off before his career even started. But, you love to see your team finding these steals in a late round. And McCall looks like he might be one of those guys. So definitely keep an eye on him moving forward in the future. He has been making plays every time he's on the field, and it's undeniable. He had at least 1 tackle for loss in this game, I believe, along with the blocked field goal. So shout out to Marquand McCall. Great game.
Absolutely. He's been a little bit of a unsung hero so far on this defense. A lot of people not really having much expectations for him for a 7th round pick. Most people don't. And he has played pretty well. I also want to give credit to a guy I've seen not get credit in the little bit of limited time he's had. And for me, that is going to be Henry Anderson. Ever since he's been kind of rotated into this lineup a little bit more, he has significantly helped the pressure when it comes to the run game. Now you look on the stat sheet, he had 2 tackles, 2 or 1 solo tackle, 2 total tackles. But watching that game, him and a bunch of other guys, Ioannidis, and I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. They were getting a lot of pressure and they were kind of disrupting that run game. I know it wasn't perfect, but to me, that kind of jumped off the screen to me that they were really getting in their gaps, holding their blocks and shedding and getting off in the right direction. The whole defensive line played really well. Derek Brown was taking on multiple double teams and just kind of bull rushing. He had the interception, obviously, which was great, and a couple tackles, but to me, it was more about just getting in there and blowing up plays and not letting them, take off. So shout out to Derek Brown, like you mentioned, and shout out to my guy, Henry Anderson. I think he had a really nice game as well.
Yeah, that's 3 guys that we just named who were eating up space in the run game and making it hard on Alvin Kamara. Obviously, like you said, Anderson's a run stopping specialist coming in from New England, I believe, if I have that correct. But yeah, man, a lot of big days on defense. So it was good to see those guys show out a little bit. Honestly, we can't ignore the fact that Jameis was very banged up, and he is Jameis. And there were some not so pretty third downs, which has kind of been their Achilles heel so far this season. So I do want to at least mention that there's still plenty of room to improve, but overall they had a good day, and that it was good to see, obviously after an 0-2 start. Obviously they're getting there. Consistency's still a bit of an issue, but they're definitely getting there, and that's awesome. Who did I want to shout out? Oh, you said it, JC Horn. just saw, I think he was top 2 this week on Pro Football Focus as far as corners go, top 2 or 3 for week 3. So shout out to JC Horn on a big game. It's good to see him getting settled in, getting acclimated. I really think he has the potential to be an absolute shutdown corner, one of the best corners in the game whenever he, reaches the top of his game. So it's good to see him starting to get reacclimated into everything after taking a season off with an injury.
Also, do not forget he had his first career interception this week as well.
His second career interception.
It was the second?
He got one off Jameis last year in week 2.
That's right. I forgot about that. Okay, so yeah, his second career interception, his first interception this season. Right. So yeah, he looked good. I want to mention this briefly. A lot of people are giving the secondary crap about they gave up 150 yards receiving to a rookie. At the end of the day, at the end of this game, the Panthers were, up by, a decent amount, enough to where it was almost a shutout. Of course, they started playing the soft zone, which is the killer of any defense at any time. I don't understand why that continues to happen in the NFL, but it does. They're going to give up chunk plays, and that's the unfortunate thing about running that kind of scheme later on in a game when you think you have the game under wraps. So that I think that, a little bit of garbage time stats there, but for the most part, other than Henderson giving up, that one big play to Chris Olave, they did a solid job. We really saw Jeremy Chin getting after it. You saw him more in the box, which is what we've been calling for, what we've been wanting. So, I'll give Phil Snow this for this one game. He had the guys in the right positions they needed to be. Let's hope they can build off this.
All right, you ready to switch to offense?
I am.
Talk about what we saw on offense. Obviously, the big story was the surprise emergence of Laviska Shenault. 2 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. He broke a 67-yarder on what was, basically a 1-yard out pass off of Baker Mayfield. Check down. Basically, he had pressure in his face, couldn't find anybody downfield, dumped it off Shenault. He makes a couple guys miss and takes off down the sideline. Obviously, we knew this was what kind of player he was and why the Panthers brought him in. You give him the ball in space, he can make guys miss, and that's exactly what he did the first time he touched the ball as a Panther. How about that?
I loved it. I had essentially forgot he was on the team until this game started, and he was back there returning kicks. And I was like, okay, yeah, I forgot about this guy. Let's see if he can do something. And he did. 2 grabs, 90 yards, a touchdown. His first grab, I think, was about a 70-yarder, which was, like you said, basically a 1-yard bubble screen. And he took it to the house. Good job on him. And then the next catch he had was a big third down. I think it was like 3rd and 15, something like that. He got in space and he was able to open it up. So I think without a doubt, he needs to be the number 3 receiver in this core. I think you need to run with him, Robbie, and DJ Moore. I think those 3 guys need to run. I like Shi Smith. I still have hope for him. I don't think he's ready yet for that number 3 spot. I think you maybe bump him down one to that number 4, competing with Rashard Higgins and those guys. So those are your 3 best playmakers on the field when it comes to wide receivers. So you need them on the field. Good game from Shenault, and he was live. He was talking a little bit of trash, and I like it. Let's see if he can keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Shenault needs more opportunities, and I think he made that completely clear. And I think anybody you asked would agree with that after what he did with his 2 touches in this game. I think I'm not so sure about what you said about him being the number 3 guy, just because that's kind of why he's here. In Jacksonville, he could never really establish himself as a pure receiver, and that's kind of what they want him to be when they took him in the 2nd round. So I think if we use him the way we used him in this game, 2 short passes in space, let him, pick up yards after the catch. If we run him on sweeps and tosses, things like that, I've said before, he's a lot like Cordero Patterson or Deebo Samuel, although Deebo Samuel's a much better pure receiver. But that type of player, you use him as that gadget type of guy, get him in space with the ball. I think that's where we need to use him. Now, when I say that, I think it's fine to have him as your third option on offense after, McCaffrey and DJ Moore, but I'm not so sure you want him as that third wide receiver and receiver sets for the whole game, if that makes sense. I think Shi Smith could certainly still have a role in that regard. But I do agree that if you're looking at purely the number of touches, he's definitely up there with, DJ Moore, and Robbie Anderson doesn't get a lot of touches anyway. At this point, I almost think Robbie Anderson should jump down the depth chart to number 4 or so, put Shi Smith in his spot, let Laviska be a third option maybe there, him and Robbie kind of switching out depending on the situation. Robbie, to me at this point, Robbie's really nothing more than just a deep threat. When you want to take a shot down the field.
Yeah. He so far this season has been essentially what he was last year, where he has the long touchdown the first game of the year, and then not really much happens. And I like Robbie Anderson as a talent. I think he has talent there. I don't think it's all his fault, but you're not seeing a whole lot from him. So I think you need to bring in more guys to help compete and change it up. I mean, you talk about wanting people to earn their positions. Well, make them earn it if you really need it, and, bring some competition. There's plenty of good receivers in the wide receiver class. So, do you remember that Terrace Marshall Jr. guy?
At this point, I kind of forget he exists. I had really hoped he would kind of fill that number 2 receiver role that we're kind of talking about is kind of up for grabs right now with all these young, talented receivers, but he can't find his way onto the field, and he was not active this week. So I don't know what's going on with him, and I'm starting to wonder how much longer he's going to be around the team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's definitely beyond concerning. And, we certainly all had high hopes for him. And listen, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's injuries. I don't know if he's in the doghouse. I don't know if he just is not the guy that we think he is. I don't know, but it's unfortunate. And it looks like, he may never get that chance here, unfortunately, with that wide receiver group getting very competitive. So we'll see there. Now, I want to, before we get off the wide receiver thing, let's talk about DJ Moore for a little bit. I love DJ Moore. I bought his jersey this year. I bought his jersey the year before when he was number 12, and I bought it again when he was number 2. So I love DJ Moore. I think he is a very underrated talent and a very underrated receiver. Baker Mayfield has not been very good. That much is true. DJ Moore has had passes go his way that have not been accurate. He's clearly frustrated. You can see it in his body language and his route running. But Dave, I talked to you a little bit earlier today about it. There always seems to be just a little bit of an issue with his route running, not being super crisp, and balls maybe being in the wrong direction or timing being off. What do you make of that? What do you think's going on there? Because it hasn't only been with Baker that this has happened. Now, I'm not trying to blame DJ Moore for all this. I'm not. But it seems like this has kind of been a little bit of a trend in a way.
Yeah, Tanner, you can go back and look at past, episodes of this podcast where we've talked about this. And I've never really shied away from the fact that I'm not so sure DJ Moore really is a bona fide number 1 receiver. He does struggle to create separation in his route running. And that's just the way his career, that's the way he's always been since he came into the league. Now, obviously, when you get the ball in his hands, he's outstanding. He's going to make guys miss. He's going to get those yards after the catch. But if you put him out there, play in and play out, and expect him to create separation, he's not always going to do it. And you see that in this game. And obviously, like you said, Baker Mayfield has not, helped him in this regard in any way, because he's been completely inaccurate. He went DJ Moore's way, 3 times in the beginning of the game, and with 3 of the worst passes I've ever seen in my entire life. So obviously there's, it's the same thing when he had Odell Beckham in Cleveland. He just struggles to find that number 1 receiver. evidently. But it's not all on Baker. I mean, it's DJ too. The whole offense is out of funk, really, as a whole. But DJ's not getting great separation, and he never really has. And I've always kind of blamed our coaching staff for not putting him in great situations because to me, he's the kind of guy that if you put in the situations like the 49ers do with Deebo Samuel, give him those quick screens, those tosses, those reverses, set the guy up in space so he can take advantage of his skill set. And his skill set is moving with the ball in space. He's basically a running back who plays wide receiver. When he gets the ball in his hands, he runs like a running back. But creating separation down the field has never been his strong suit. He does have really good hands. He does have a lot of natural ability to play the wide receiver position, but he's not always going to win against the best corners in the game. And we saw that in this one. In my opinion, he's probably more of a number 2 receiver, used as more of a gadget wide receiver. And the Panthers insist on trying to make him be the number 1 type wide receiver that he's really just not. And again, that's not a knock on him. He's still a really good player. I just feel like they're using him in a role that doesn't really fit his skill set.
I agree with a lot what you're saying. I think, DJ has always had the potential to be a number 1 type of player. And, his skill set isn't, the traditional number 1 wide receiver lineup. Throw me the ball, I'm going to catch it and score. He has to be used in certain ways. I mean, obviously the best thing that he does is yards after the catch. So the best situation you can get him the ball is when he can catch it and do something with it after it. He's not your Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, throw the ball up, I'm going to come down with it and catch the ball. It just, his style is a little bit different. And I think that's fine. But, I don't know if it's the route running that he's doing, or if it's, I've heard a lot of people bring up the comments of McAdoo's route trees. Just there's a lot of guys jumbled up together and they seem to run into each other and it doesn't really flow. I know he's frustrated. I'm obviously not giving up on the guy. He just signed to a contract. He's a stud. I think he's going to figure it out. I hope so, at least. I just feel like he, he's not playing his best ball, and he's certainly not getting the best balls thrown his way either.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to a point, you just made, when you look at guys like Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, these are guys who are real twitchy in their route running. They fake one way and break the other way and leave the corner behind them. DJ Moore is just not that kind of route runner. He's got good speed. He's got good acceleration. But more than anything, he's just got a strong running style. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to break those arm tackles. He's going to make guys miss. He's going to get in the open field and make plays. But when it comes to just getting open, you need to scheme him open so he can take advantage of his skill set by getting the ball in his hands quickly and letting him do what he does. He's not a guy who's going to consistently get himself open. And that's just, I said it before, that's how it's been since he came into the league. And for whatever reason, it seems like the Panthers just haven't figured out that they need to do more to get the ball in his hands and quit relying on him so much to get himself open, because it's just really not the type of receiver he is.
Correct. I agree. So we will see if we can figure that out. Sticking to the offense, before we get to Baker Mayfield, I want to talk about Christian McCaffrey real quick. And also, I need you to tell Chuba Hubbard, good job for doing that long run he had where he had the one hand stuck to the ground and pulled himself up and ran for the first down.
Did the ballerina thing.
He did it, and I was very, very proud.
Hey, that was a nice golf clap for Chuba Hubbard, everybody. Good job, Chuba. You did it. Good job, buddy. And he didn't even fumble this time. Wow. I am impressed with Chuba Hubbard.
Oh, man. So listen, Christian McCaffrey had 25 rushes in this game. He had 2 catches, I believe. So McCaffrey, another 100-yard game, over 4 yards per carry. All that's great. I'm glad that we finally got to a place where, hey, let's run the football. We don't have to pass the ball every play. Clearly, that's not working. Like Dave has been saying for the past since the season started, let's commit to running the football. We've got a trio of running backs that one of them is a superstar. The other guys can come in and give some relief. We got guys that can run the football. Let's run the ball. The Panthers did that finally.
Do you see me over here, Tanner?
I do.
I can't contain myself. I'm
excited.
sorry. I can't contain it right now, man. Matt Rule has been talking about committing to running to the ball for over a year now. He finally does it, gives Christian McCaffrey 25 carries, and the Panthers win convincingly for the first time. The Panthers win a game for the first time in almost a year. It really has not been this complicated this whole time. Give the ball to Christian McCaffrey, grind out the clock, play some defense, take the ball out of your bad quarterback's hands, go win some games, man. Silly. We've been talking about this for a year, and finally we do it. And hey, look at that. We won. Jesus Christ.
However, I'm not finished.
Fat mule. That's.
I love that.
I don't know who started that, but I saw it online. It was hilarious.
I do have a slight problem. Just a concern.
What? He's going to get hurt?
I'm not concerned that he's going to get hurt. I like the fact he had 25 rushes. I was concerned about the quality of the 25 rushes. Now, there are certain situations in the game where it's 3rd and 2. I get it. McCaffrey is the best player on the field. You want to have him on the field. I just think that there are certain plays, certain situations that would call for maybe Donta Foreman to be in the game, which I don't even think he had a carry in this game. I don't see it on the stat sheet.
I don't remember him having a carry, no.
I don't think he did. And,
no,
that's kind of the reason he was brought in. And you can't protect McCaffrey because, you're there to play and he wants to play, and I get it. I get concerned about them, running him just up the middle every single play for at the end of the game, where it's like we're trying to run on the clock. I get that. I worry a little bit, and I just wish they would maybe throw in Donta Foreman or Chuba Hubbard in there to kind of spell him just a little bit. I like 25. I get every situation is not going to be perfect. It's not. I grit my teeth and I get a little nervous every time McCaffrey's running up the middle 4 or 5 times in a row. Maybe throw the other guy in there to spell him off just a little bit. That's it.
You know what, Tanner, I actually agree with you, but I've been waiting so long for them to actually ride McCaffrey to a victory like they should have been doing all along. So I'm not even going to argue with it. I'm going to appreciate the fact they just gave him the damn football instead of putting the ball in Baker Mayfield's hands on 3rd and 3 12 times a game and expect success.
So that brings up a good point. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield. Man, I never thought that I would hear Panthers fans saying, hey, let's give that Sam Darnold guy a chance. But after this game, I am not saying that, but I have heard that from numerous fans. Dave, give me your take on Baker Mayfield through 3 games in a Panthers uniform.
I'll say after that first quarter, I had that thought, yeah, we're going to see Sam Darnold at some point this year. Obviously, if the Panthers can win, that might not happen, but we'll see. But to me, Baker Mayfield's been about what I expected him to be. I mean, I don't feel like I ever had super lofty expectations for him in the first place. Has he come up short of what I expected? Yes, but I didn't have great expectations anyway. I expected him to come in and be a decent game manager, and that's what he's done. And no, he hasn't blown me away. I don't think he's the future of the team. I think he's been fine. I think he definitely needs to get better. I think once he gets better, and I think he will, because I feel like he still hasn't found himself in this offense, really. It feels like he's still playing a little slow back there. I think once he starts to settle in and juices start flowing and he starts to get his swagger back and act like Baker Mayfield, I think he'll be better. But yeah, I mean, right now he's not been very good. I think once he plays to his ability, I think this offense will have a chance to be good enough to win as long as the defense plays as well as they can play. But yeah, I mean, overall, I can't say I'm super disappointed, but it's not because he hasn't been bad. It's because I didn't expect much from him in the first place.
I might get some hate for saying this, but this is the Primetime Carolina podcast, so
Bring on the haters.
I am not ready to throw in the towel on Baker Mayfield just yet. Now, let me explain. I am not saying, I had never said, me or you have said that Baker Mayfield was going to come here and turn his career around and be a world beater. No one thought that. However, he has played worse than I thought he would. You know, I can understand him not being the guy that's going to win you some games, but I mean, even guys like Jameis Winston, who's banged up, or at least, you know, a guy like Kirk Cousins, you know, guys that aren't going to win you games. I mean, they're still making a couple plays here and there that make you go, okay, like this is why this guy is, you know, he's not great, but you know, he's in there. You make a couple plays and a couple throws here that, you know, keep you in the conversation. Other than that second half in that game, we've not seen that. And what I'm seeing is Baker Mayfield, he does not look comfortable. I saw in this game multiple plays where he was dropping back. And listen, I've seen quarterbacks with happy feet. Believe me, I've seen Sam Darnold play. His feet are not set. He is not comfortable in that pocket. He is bailed out of clean pockets. The Panthers offense has not played, or excuse me, their offensive line has not played great, but they have played better than they have in the past couple seasons. I've seen Baker leave clean pockets. I've seen him roll out, try to scramble. It hasn't worked out. And it's been frustrating. I don't know if he's just not comfortable with the offense. There's something in his head that just he's not comfortable with, or I don't know. Maybe us getting this win will kind of re-energize him in a way, but I don't know. He just doesn't look comfortable. Now, to that, I will say, I do not want to see Sam Darnold play football this year because, listen, I know Baker has not played all that well. He hasn't played well actually at all, but I think he will eventually get to a point where he's going to turn it around. As long as the defense can be there, I think he will turn it around to a point. The thing with Sam Darnold is, yes, he can make those couple plays that make you go, oh, wow, like this, there's the potential. But in a situation where the Panthers, if Sam Darnold forces one turnover or they're down in a game, his psyche, his ego is shot, and the Panthers have no chance with him. At least Baker has not turned the ball over a ton. I get he's got one pick. The first game, he had a couple botch snaps. That seems to be fixed. He hasn't done anything great, but he hasn't turned the ball over. And that's one thing that Sam Darnold loves to do, is throw the ball to the other team.
Absolutely. And that's the other point I was going to make as well, is at least he's holding on to the football. Obviously, the first game was an absolute train wreck with some of those snaps that hit the floor. But him and Elfine have got that corrected since then. And by the way, shout out to Elfine. He's played well. He's played very well as well. A guy I meant to shout out earlier. I can't believe actually how well he's played, because, I was with the majority of Panthers fans who said, why the hell is he in the game instead of Bozeman? But he's turned it around. He's played well the last two games. But yeah, back to the point that you were making. Baker's held on to the football. Baker's taking care of the ball, and that's really the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that lost us games last year with Sam Darnold, was him constantly turning the ball over. If the defense, and we've said it a million times, if the defense plays to their ability and Baker Mayfield takes care of the football, it's going to be hard for the Panthers to not be in most games, especially if they commit to the running game. That's going to be their formula for success. That's what they did in this game, and that's why they came out on top. If they can do that for a full season without jumping ship the way they love to, and abandoning, their formula for success, they could win some games. And I think, what we saw from Sam Darnold last year, it's hard to justify letting him play over Baker Mayfield when we know Baker Mayfield's going to take care of the football.
Correct. And I think that is the biggest factor in terms of letting Baker play. And like I said, I'm not willing to throw in the towel yet. I know he's not the long-term answer. I know that, we expected better, but I'm not willing to throw it in yet. I think there will be better days to come. And I think because in general, the offense, there will be better days to come. I hope. Hopefully everyone just gets more comfortable. And I think a lot of this could be wrong in a lot of people's eyes, but I think a lot of this could be cleaned up and could be better in terms of timing, route running, and guys being gelled together if we didn't have this fake quarterback competition. Like we said, like other podcasts have said, like pretty much everyone else has said, they messed up by doing that. And right now it looks like it is costing the offense, because think about it. If the offense played at least decently in all three games, the Panthers could very well be 3-0 right now. They could be. Not saying that we're a great team. We're not, but we could be 3-0 if the offense played at least decently.
Even as poorly as the offense has played in the first three games, we could just as easily be 3-0, talking about how, our team has a shot to go make a playoff run or whatever the conversation would be. As bad as the offense has been, they were right in both of those games. So, yeah, if the offense can get it together, who knows what kind of season they can put together. And, you're right. I don't know how much the quarterback competition affected the offense as a whole going into the season, but it's pretty clear through three games that the offense are not all on the same page. And you've touched on it a couple times, and it's absolutely true that they're just completely out of whack, man. Baker doesn't seem to know where guys are going to be. We've seen that numerous times. We saw that in the Giants game, that ball he threw over Shi Smith, where Shi Smith stopped and he threw it like he was going to keep running. We saw it multiple throws to DJ Moore in this past game, sailing way over his head, throwing him, 5 yards to the right of where DJ Moore went. It just doesn't seem like he knows where guys are going to be. And obviously reps and lack of timing have so much to do with that. And then, another piece of that is the offensive line has not been good. They've been better. I feel like they're progressively getting better as the season goes on, but they're still far from good. And they're still not giving Baker Mayfield clean pockets to throw from. So they still have a long way to go. And obviously the offense as a whole still has a long way to go. So we'll have to see what happens, because obviously the talent is there. It's just whether or not they can put it all together or not.
Absolutely. I agree with pretty much everything you said. We'll see if quarterback and offensive line can turn it around. So taking a look here, this week we're playing the Arizona Cardinals at home at Carolina. And I don't know if I told you this or not. I actually am going to this game this weekend. My brother wanted to go to this game earlier on in the season, and we bought tickets, and I kind of forgot about it. And then this weekend, he was like, "Hey, man, you ready for next weekend?" And I was like, "Wow, what's going on?" He's like, "We're going to the game." I was like, "Oh, I forgot." So I will be at this game this weekend. 4:00 start. The Panthers, I don't know what the record is. Maybe it says here somewhere deep in the stats, but I feel like the past couple seasons we have had the Cardinals number, and let's hope we can keep that around this time around, because the Panthers are looking to get to 2-2. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know if you watched that Packers-Bucks game. I know it's early in the year. Bucks got a tough game against the Chiefs next week. We win, they lose. Hey, in that time, first place in the division, man. I'm not trying to jump out ahead. I'm just saying.
How does that meme go? Who would have thought? Look at us or something.
Oh yeah. You're talking about the one with what's his name?
I don't know.
Paul Rudd, where he's like, hey,
yeah, from Hot Ones or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey man, who would have thought? Not me.
But I don't.
Here we are.
I don't want to jump.
That's what I'm saying, man. I don't want to get my damn hopes up, but it's like, Jesus Christ, if they can just play the way that they're capable of playing, they could be a playoff team, but I just can't count on them to do that for 17 games. So
So
we'll see. I don't know.
I agree. So let's take it game by game here. We'll dissect this game here. We're not worried about the division or anything. Panthers versus the Cardinals. Let's talk about matchups here. Obviously, Kyler Murray, the better quarterback here. But I haven't watched a lot of Cardinals games this year. I know they had that come from behind victory against the Raiders. I don't really know what they look like completely. I like what they have on offense. I think their defense is okay. They kind of remind me of us in a way where they have a lot of talent and they seem to put it together in times that make you go, wow, this is a really talented team. But then they also do things that really frustrate you and do things that bad teams do. And I know that sounds kind of generic, but I feel like the Cardinals last year, they started out they were like 8-0, 9-0.
Yeah, it
And
was
then
something crazy.
They kind of fell off. And I think they've kind of come back down to earth. I think they've got a talented roster and some good guys, but it just seems lately the Panthers have kind of had their number.
Yeah, I think I saw something. I think the stat was like 20, I think it was 2013 was the last time they beat us in the regular season, or I think that was what I saw. But yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, we've really had their number. And the last couple times we played Kyler Murray, I guess we didn't play him last year, but playing against Kyler Murray 2 years ago, I thought, man, this guy's going to tear us up. And he really didn't. He broke off one big run. And other than that, we pretty much kept him bottled up for the whole game. Then last year, he didn't play in the matchup we had against the Cardinals, but I mean, they couldn't do anything against us. Yeah, they didn't have their star quarterback, but we really owned them on both sides of the ball. So again, I think the key is going to be a commitment to running the football. And if the Panthers do that, I feel like they'll be in good shape. I feel like the Cardinals are a little more vulnerable to a power running game. I feel like our offensive line is built for it. I feel like Christian McCaffrey is going to find those holes when they're there, and he's going to, efficiently run the football, bust out a couple big ones when they're there. Hopefully we won't have to put the ball in Baker's hands too much. Grind it out, play good defense. I mean, we could definitely win this game. Cardinals have not been anything special this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I think the Panthers know their formula. As long as the defense plays well, I think this is going to be, I'm not really scared about any of the Cardinals running backs. However, we do need to keep an eye on Kyler Murray. He is very shifty, can run. As long as the defense plays solid and we can, get back to the quarterback, stop the run and just not give up big plays in the secondary. I think the offense eventually has to find their rhythm. There's no way they can continue this way all season. I think McCaffrey will have a good game. And I think, looking at it here, their defense has given up 370 yards per game. I know ours is, around 300, it looks like. But I think, is that total yards? Is that defense or is that yards we're gaining?
That's their offense.
Okay.
Down below it, yards allowed is defense.
I feel stupid. So here we go. Yards allowed 390 compared to 360. So we're pretty much in the same area in terms of giving up yards. They don't have a great defense. They got some guys, and I think this is kind of a toss-up game, but I think the Panthers are at home. As long as they can run the football and the defense can step up the way they did against New Orleans, I think I like our chances here if we can do those things, and we need to do them. I think this win that we had this week hopefully gives us some momentum, a little bit of edge in practice this week, and a little bit of hope.
Yeah, the team definitely seemed to get some juice off this win, obviously, as they should. The Cardinals are always kind of the team I point to when I talk about our defense, because I feel like this is the type of team our defense is built to stop. We have a lot of speedy guys, a lot of kind of finesse players on defense, especially in the front seven. So when we get bullied by a team up front, like the Cleveland Browns in week one, I almost can't even get mad because we're not built to stop that. That's the type of team that's going to run through us and run us over. The Cardinals are more the kind of team we're built to stop on defense. They're much smaller. They're built to spread the ball out. Excuse me, get the ball out wide. I think we're well equipped to stop the Cardinals on defense, probably as much as any team in the NFL. We match up really well against them. So I think that's why we've had such good luck against them the last few years, is we're really just built to stop them. If they're like a Big 12 offense and we're like a Big 12 defense, not that they play defense in the Big 12, but it just, I think a lot of teams the Cardinals play, they can beat them with speed. And I feel like with our defense, they really can't do that. You look at our linebackers, Luvu and Shaq Thompson. That's two fast linebackers, you know what I mean? So if you're going to try to be stopping Kyler Murray, scooting around back there like he stole his mom's iPhone or whatever the meme is, you know what I mean? Those are the two guys who can do it. So, yeah, I think we have a good shot in this one. I think it's going to come down to if our offense is willing to stay committed to running the football. It feels so obvious with this team, but for some reason, they just love to get away from it. If they would just stay committed to it, they would win so many more games.
I think sometimes McAdoo is like, all right, this play here, we're going to pass it. And this is going to be the play that like turns Baker, like flips a switch, and then it doesn't happen. And it's like, okay, we're going to run the ball. And then a couple of plays later, he's like, all right, that's going to be the play where you throw the ball and then you're going to get it again.
Dude, I honest to God feel like that's kind of what it is. Like, I feel like Matt Rule feels like he's about to like outsmart people. I feel like he's like, they know we need to run the ball, so we're going to throw the ball. And I think that's why we try to throw so many play action passes that are completely unjustified. Like, no linebackers are going to commit to the play action pass when you run it 5 times in a row. You have to commit to running to the football. We just don't do it.
Listen, we had the video this week come out with Dan Orvalorski, kind of breaking down our offense a little bit. And pretty much what he said was true for the most part. And, a lot of it was true. And a good point would be that when we scored a touchdown this week, we went for 2 points to try to get to 21. What did they do? They line up in the shotgun. McCaffrey's about a yard behind, half a yard behind Mayfield. What did they do? They run the ball right up the middle. It goes nowhere. It was the most predictable thing I've ever seen in my life.
I almost feel like I have to go back and watch every snap of that game because I feel like there's just no way what he was saying was true. It just can't be. There's just no way. Like, Matt Rule's stupid, but there's no way he's that stupid. So I'm going to have to do my research and come back to that one.
I just, for someone like McAdoo, who has been, known to have a complicated, different offense. I mean, the amount of weapons the Panthers have, you would expect to see some different stuff. I mean, you got McCaffrey, you got DJ Moore, you got Shenault. Those are 3 guys that are shifty, speedy guys. Is there? I feel like there's got to be a couple plays here and there, which they did do the reverse screen with DJ and McCaffrey and Robbie, and DJ ran the reverse. I just feel like there's got to be some plays or something that you could come up with to have all these guys some sort of option or something, or some sort of play where they can get into space and have room to work. I don't know. I just feel like that they need to try something like that.
That's why I kind of like feel optimistic about the offense, because I just feel like at some point it has to come together with all the talent that they have on that side of the ball. And obviously Ben McAdoo's been doing this for a while. It seems like he would be able to figure out how to get these guys opportunities to make plays.
Why isn't there a play where you've got Baker in the shotgun, you've got Robbie and DJ lined up at receiver, and then you've got Shenault and McCaffrey in the backfield, and it's a pass, and they both go out, and you've got DJ and them running routes, and you got the 2 guys out in the flats trying to make something happen. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of stuff that could happen.
Yeah. Shenault, I've been saying for a long time, I feel like McCaffrey and Moore are very similar players. And I feel like Shenault kind of fits that mold as well, to where you can line them up in the backfield or split them out. get them the ball with some room to run, and they're going to break tackles, make guys miss. If you recall last year, Joe Brady used DJ Moore in the backfield a few times, and it worked very well. He scored a touchdown against the Cowboys like that. I remember vividly. I know there's a few other opportunities as well he got back there. So I've always felt like he could be used in a Deebo Samuel type of way. And now I feel like we have two guys who could be used in a Deebo Samuel type of way, but we don't see it consistently. And I don't know why. Seems like it's pretty obvious to me.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And I mean, there's even ways where you can have both of them in the backfield, and obviously one of them is a decoy because they're both a threat to run the ball, and you give the ball to one guy, fake it to the other, and it creates confusion for the defense because they've got two guys that can run the football. So it makes it tough. I mean, I just feel like in no way am I a offensive coordinator, even though I should be. I know my play calls sound absolutely amazing, but I feel like, I just need to see some creativity, man. I need to see some creativity, and I need to see Baker Mayfield hitting some 5-yard slants. That's it. That's all I need to see.
Right. Well, they get batted down for sure. I think, similar to what the 49ers do with their offense, you see a lot of sweeps, a lot of handoffs, a lot of fake, they fake the end around a lot, even when they run it, up the middle with their running back. You just keep that guy coming in motion, and whether you give it to him or not, you keep him coming so the defense knows he's there. He's gonna get somebody's eyes, and as soon as they stop putting eyes on him, then you give him the ball, and he goes and gains a first down, and the defense has to keep putting eyes on him. And if their eyes are on him, that's eyes that aren't on the running back. It opens up some space for the running game. It just seems like you got a lot of guys you could make that work with, and they just don't do it. And I don't understand it. I've always felt like that would be the perfect role for DJ Moore. And now I feel like they have two guys that they could do that with, along with obviously McCaffrey at running back, who is a weapon that I don't feel like they use him very well either. Split him out of the backfield, give him some opportunities to play in the slot, on some crossing routes and things like that, where he can use his speed to outrun a linebacker that has a mismatch with. It's a lot of things like that just seem so obvious with some of these weapons on our team that you just don't see them ever use them that way. And you would think that's how they would use them all game long.
Yeah, I mean, everything you just said was, pretty much what I think most people have been thinking is that, I'm not saying this has to happen every play, but, to have the weapons that you have and to just give the ball to McCaffrey up the middle consistently every single snap, it's like, come on, it's not about necessarily running cool trick plays. It's about, lulling the defense and getting them confused about what you're going to do. Like the 49ers, they run sweeps, they run, cross routes, they run all this stuff where, they've got guys that can do different things, and it kind of fakes the defense out a little bit. I think, that would certainly help Baker Mayfield and give him a little bit of an ability to have the defense back off some and give him a chance to throw the football. So hopefully McAdoo realizes that. It's funny because McAdoo has always been known as a coordinator who wants to throw the football. He comes into a team where they need to run the football. A good coordinator would understand that, hey, I need to adjust my style to what I have been given on my chess match here, my pieces. I need to work with what I have, not put a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah. Well, he and any other offensive coordinator talk about any opportunity they get is they want to put their guys in a position to take advantage of whatever their skill set is. And it just doesn't feel like they do that. And it's not only been McAdoo. It's felt like that for years with the Panthers. But it goes back to that conversation we were having before. It seems like, they want DJ Moore to be this Julio Jones type receiver, and it's really just not that. If you to go back to the 49ers, talking about that same concept of, bringing Deebo Samuel on the sweep, every play almost, he's going to come in motion, and whether they hand it to him or not, he's going to come in motion. And then eventually, once you lull the defense to sleep, you hand him the ball, And he's basically a running back at receiver, just like DJ Moore. So now he's in a position to take advantage of his skill set. Why is DJ Moore not coming in motion every play? So 1 out of every 12 runs, he can get the ball and take advantage of his skill set. How often do we run a reverse with DJ Moore and he gains 20 yards? Just about every time. Why don't we do it more often? Doesn't make any sense.
Because that would make sense, Dave, and we're not going to do that.
Touche. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I think we just we milked that for every single thing. We got all our points across and more. All in all, I think the Panthers have a very good matchup here. I think the bank should be rocking. I'll be there, and win or lose. If we lose, I will be like, why did I do this to myself? If we win, I will be very excited. So we'll see what happens. However, you got to take a game by game. I think this is a good matchup for the Panthers. I'm not going to say it's a game we can win. It's a good matchup for us on paper. That's how I start looking at things. It's a good matchup, and I think we can take advantage.
Run the football.
Hey, listen, this is the Sam Mills appreciation game. So,
oh man,
you better keep pounding the damn running game. Okay.
Pound the rock.
He said it himself. It's in the jerseys. God, you dedicated a game to him. Keep pounding the football.
Keep pounding the football. What's your score prediction, Tanner?
Oh, man. The way our offense has been playing, I don't want to go more than like 20 points, honestly. I think this is going to be, unless the offense, comes out and proves me wrong, I'm going to go with 23 to 17, Carolina.
I'm going to go 27-24, totaling 51 points in the Sam Mills game. Panthers win.
I like that. You should put a parlay down for that.
I've learned my lesson the hard way, so I'm not going to do that. But 27-24.
Wouldn't that be something? That'd be cool. Or if we just scored 51 points ourselves.
I wanted to say that, but I knew there was no way that would ever happen.
We need to talk to the Cardinals for the game. Be like, hey, we dedicated this game to this guy. His number 51. Just let us score 51.
Just, hey guys, would you mind just backing down for 3 quarters?
Just we'll play like the softest zone ever in the fourth quarter. We'll let you get all the chunk plays to get back in the game.
Well, we're gonna do that anyway. I promise you. So
that's just you brought up a quick gripe I've got to make. Listen, this isn't just a Panthers problem. This is a NFL problem. And maybe if I'm such a genius, I should be defensive coordinator in the NFL, or I should be a starting corner in the NFL. I understand that these guys are all-world talents at wide receiver. They're fast, they're agile, they can make you miss with just one step. I don't understand the point of playing 8 to 10 yards off the ball. I don't get it. You get eaten up by the short slant game and the chunk play game. You will get eaten up. J.C. Horn he specializes in man-to-man coverage. I'm not saying you got to run man the whole game. I know that's tough. But to just see our guys sit 10, 12 yards off the ball and just give up these slant plays, it's just infuriating. Just man up.
My favorite is when they give them a 12-yard cushion on 3rd and 10.
They don't need to gain 20 yards. They only need 10. So they're going to take what you give them and get close, or probably go for it on 4th down, because nowadays no one punts the ball. Everybody goes for it on 4th and short. So third and long, man up with your guy. If you get beat, hey, you got beat. You played man coverage, got beat. Oh, well, at least you tried. I just don't understand the soft zone. It's not a Panther. The Panthers do it a lot, but I see it around the NFL, and I don't understand it.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm with you. It's frustrating. And, it's like I told you before, man, if in that Browns game, you could you could trace back almost every Brown score, if not every Brown score, I don't remember at this point, to a 3rd and long conversion. And that's what it was. That's what it comes from. Playing way too far off, playing soft coverage, giving up the underneath route, or giving up, exactly what they need, 10, 12 yards, whatever it is. Frustrating.
It's like on 3rd and 10, they're like, okay, we can't give up the big play. And then like offense is like, okay, yeah, all we need is 10 yards. We don't need a big play.
Yep. Pretty much. That's pretty much how it goes.
It's frustrating, man. I wish they would play a little bit more man and if you lose, oh well, but hey, you're not giving up the easy stuff. I hate that.
I want to agree with that so much, but I know if Dante Jackson was in man consistently, he would get burned all game.
Now,
not necessarily burned, but beat.
There is a fine line. Dante Jackson has not lived up to, he didn't sign a massive contract, but I much would have rather put that money towards Hassan Reddick at this point.
Absolutely.
I don't know what Hassan Reddick has done, but I do know the Eagles are 3-0. So I'm assuming
I do know we could use another pass rusher right now. I do know that.
I agree. Because Dante Jackson's not even playing number 2. He's playing number 3. And at this point, CJ Henderson frustrates me so much. I kind of want to see our boy number 28 out there.
Keith Taylor.
Keith Taylor. Give him a shot, man. It just, like I said, concerned we're not giving up the big play. You give up 10 yards, and then you give up the big play after that.
Hey, man, I hear you.
Anyways, enough of that. Panthers, to see if we can get 2-2 on the season, get this train back rolling. Thank you for tuning in to Primetime Carolina, the best Panthers podcast in the entire world. We are getting close to 600 subscribers. I think we're, what are we now, like 5-something? 550, 575, somewhere around there?
No, I think we're more like 530.
530. Okay. Well, you know what? Excuse me for having high expectations.
Help us out, though. If you happen to be listening 2 hours into the podcast or however long we've been going.
Hey, listen, the diehards are here, man. They live in the 500s.
That's true.
They are. They do.
That's true.
So thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you guys next week after the Panthers Cardinals game, let you know our thoughts, and hopefully another Panthers will win.
Yep. Peace out. Keep pounding.
That's right.
Catch you next time.